What if your body could actually talk to you? For decades, really. The only way we could get a peek inside was with a blood test. You know the deal. It's painful. You don't do it very often, and it only gives you one snapshot in time. But what if there was a better way? What if you could get nonstop, real-time updates on your health without a single, solitary needle? Well, today we're diving into the incredible science of wearable sensors that listen to one of our body's most overlooked and honestly underrated fluids, our sweat. So here's the game plan. First, we're going to look beyond the needle to see why sweat is basically a liquid goldmine of information. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how these smart patches actually work and explore the pretty mind-blowing ways they power themselves. And finally, we'll take a look at what the future holds for this amazing tech. All right, let's start with a problem we all know, right? For as long as we can remember, checking up on our health has meant, well, getting poked. It feels kind of old school, doesn't it? And this is the big question that's really sparking a revolution in personal health. I mean, sure, we have watches that track our heart rate and our steps, but those are just physical metrics. The real game changer is getting direct access to our body's biochemistry, continuously and painlessly. And here is the fundamental leap we're talking about. Blood tests, the gold standard, are invasive, and they just give you one moment in time. It's like a single photograph from the entire movie of your health. Sweat monitoring, on the other hand, can be continuous. It's the difference between seeing one photo of a marathon and, watching the whole race, live, in real time. So how is this even possible? Well, the answer lies in something we all do, every single day. It's time to completely rethink sweat, not as something annoying you have to wipe away, but as this incredibly rich, readable source of data. Now, it's true, sweat is about 99% water. But the real magic, the secret sauce, is in that other 1%. That tiny little fraction contains a treasure trove of biomarkers that perfectly mirror what's going on in your bloodstream. And here is that treasure. I mean, just look at this. This is only a fraction of what's hiding in our sweat. We can track glucose for managing diabetes, lactate to see how tired an athlete's muscles are, even cortisol, the stress hormone. In fact, checking chloride in sweat has been the best way to diagnose cystic fibrosis for a long time. Every single one of these gives us a direct window into what's happening inside our bodies. So the data is there. That much is clear. But how? How do we actually read it? Well, now it's time to peel back the layers on these amazing little gadgets, these flexible labs that literally stick right to our skin. And to really get how they work, just look at how fast this field has been moving. The pace has been absolutely breathtaking. In 2013, we get the first real-time sensor. By 2019, they were already battery-free. This isn't science fiction, folks. It's happening right now. The first big engineering problem you have to solve is just collection. Before you can analyze anything, you have to get a clean sample. And how do you do that with a teeny tiny amount of fluid on a surface like human skin that's always moving and stretching? The answer is so clever. It's called microfluidics. Think of it like microscopic plumbing. These patches have these tiny little channels that use capillary force, the same thing that lets a paper towel soak up a spill, to guide fresh sweat right to the sensor. It's this beautiful, elegant system that makes sure you get a continuous flow, and it stops old, contaminated sweat from messing up the data. Okay, next up. This tiny lab has to be comfortable. I mean, if you're going to wear something all day, every day, you can't have some rigid, clunky thing on your arm. The device has to move with you, stretch with you, and breathe just like your skin does. And this is where materials science just gets to show off. Researchers are using everything from soft, flexible polymers like PDMS, which is a kind of skin-safe silicone, to breathable fabrics that you can weave right into a shirt. There are even sensors made of paper that are super cheap. The whole goal is to make the tech so comfortable you completely forget you're even wearing it. Okay. Now we get to the heart of the machine. We've collected the sweat, the patch is comfy. How does it actually read the information? How does it turn a chemical into a piece of data? The magic here is something called electrochemical sensing. The patch has these microscopic electrodes that are coated with special stuff that only reacts with one specific target, like glucose. When that reaction happens, it creates a tiny electrical signal, and the more glucose there is, the stronger the signal. It's a really direct, elegant way to translate your body's chemistry into an electrical language. All right, final piece of the puzzle. The patch has its data, but that data is pretty useless if it's just stuck there on your skin. We need a way to get it to a device where you can actually see it and make sense of it. And for that, these sensors use wireless tech we're all familiar with. A lot of them use Bluetooth Low Energy to just stream a constant feed of data right to your phone. But even cooler, in my opinion, is near-field communication, or NFC. This lets the patch be completely battery-free. You just tap your phone to it, and your phone's own power wakes up the sensor just long enough to take a reading. It's simple, it's efficient, and it is brilliant. We just mentioned battery-free sensors, and that brings us to maybe the biggest hurdle for any wearable technology: power. How do you keep these super sophisticated devices running without weighing them down with a big, clunky battery? I mean, this is the classic trade-off, isn't it? You want more features, you need more power, which usually means a bigger battery. But for something that's supposed to feel like a second skin, a big battery is just a non-starter. So researchers had to get really, really creative, and they started looking for power in some pretty strange places. And the solutions they came up with are just genius. They're creating this self-powering little ecosystem right on your body. Some sensors get power from your movement, others use these ultra-flexible solar cells. But my personal favorite is the biofuel cell. It literally uses the lactate in your sweat as fuel. So your workout isn't just producing data, it's actively powering the device that's collecting it. How cool is that? So we've seen how these things work, how they power themselves. The potential is obviously huge, but the road ahead, well, it still has a few bumps. What needs to happen before this kind of tech is on everyone's skin? Yeah, it's not a perfectly solved problem just yet. Researchers are tackling some pretty big challenges, like figuring out how to adjust the data when your sweat rate changes, or how to detect things like hormones that are only there in tiny, tiny amounts. And a really big one: how do you collect sweat when someone's just sitting at their desk, not working out? Perfecting this means solving these really tough biological and engineering puzzles. But ultimately, this technology is about so much more than just data. It's about having a dialogue. It's about turning your body's silent chemical whispers into a language that you can actually understand. It really does promise a future where we can manage our health with a kind of precision we've never ever seen before. And that leaves us with one profound question to think about. What will you learn when your body can finally talk to you 24/7?